And we're going to get the meeting started. Becky, will you do roll call, please? Oh, boy.
Down for a second. Then let go, and then once it turns red, then push it.
You have to have an education to do it, Dave.
Okay. Tom Wilson,
Here.
Dean Friel. Here. Jack Scratchstead,
Here.
Chris Robertson,
Here.
Mike Pearson.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, any public attendees? Does anybody, we don't have any public attendees. Approval of minutes for the last meeting, April 10th, 2023. Has everybody had a chance to review those minutes? If there are no changes or corrections, the minutes will stand as presented. Maintenance Department report and action items. Greg, do you have anything to share with the committee?
Just have a few things from since our last meeting. Rooftop units at the old courthouse. We had the train and ACI come in and reprogram the rooftop units. Now we can run the heating if the boiler happens to go down. They've got the control works. It took them like a half a day to do it, so it wasn't like a big deal.
Okay.
So now it's where I want it to be. Helm is working on the electrical over at the new courthouse for the elevator, and Hartwig, I've got them scheduled to come in sometime later this week to do the sump pump. Once they get that done, we'll put the ceiling in the control room. Elevator's going real well. The sand was sucked out, no cave-ins, thank God. Cement was taken out. They said it was going to take 8 hours to suck that sand out, and it took them a little over two hours to get it sucked out. So, man, it really went good. I was pleased with the company that Coney had gotten to do the project. Executive Plaster came, tried replastering the wall again, still coming off. So they're going to bring a special compound to put on that. I haven't seen them yet. As soon as they get that done, we'll get it painted, and then we can start getting election moved back into their area.
Yeah, I talked to them this morning and there's still a fair amount of moisture in the wall. That's why it just keeps permeating through. So if it doesn't, they're going to try one more thing. It's a special primer they put on prior to putting the cal coating on. And if that doesn't work, we're just going to come in and sheetrock that particular corner of the building and be done with it. So, yeah.
And I talked to Carnegie about that too, and he said they do make a breathable sealer
Yeah.
that we could maybe get that outside part of it sealed too.
We did not seal the limestone because we were told by the company that did the limestone restoration not to seal it. And you're not supposed to seal it because you seal all the moisture behind the surface.
Mm-hmm.
We had a ton of water in that corner for a long time. So I just think it's just the moisture.
And we've been running a fan in there trying
Yeah.
to get it, but it seems like we get ahead of the project and then we get a downpour, so.
Yep.
Allied, I took them through another walkthrough on the 18th. They just wanted to look at windows and doors. Had the meeting with PAB and we went over the saw cutting and everything, and then they showed up on the Saturday and cut that out. In the elevator shaft, the only thing, Hartwig will be coming to the new courts building to replace ground unit compressor. We had one ground unit compressor at the new courts for clerks. They came and replaced that compressor. That's back up and running. Thank God the weather held off for us. Fire alarms near the elevator, I had them disconnected because we were setting them off. So around the vicinity of the elevator shaft, we had those eliminated. I contacted the fire department because ADS wanted to make sure that what they wanted tested when we put it back into service. And ADS says, you're going to be testing the whole building in July. Wait till July and test the whole thing. Once, hopefully we'll have everything back up and going and we can test that to make sure that's operating properly. We had Sterling Environmental come in because Allied had a couple of questions about a few spots and there was nothing there, so there was nothing to worry about. South elevator was closed off for a period of time. Brought to my attention that the one car to the south was not coming up sometimes to the full height of the floor, and it would be a major trip hazard. I shut the elevator down, called Otis. They came down right away that day, and there were some magnets that needed to be adjusted in the elevator shaft that makes it stop where it's supposed to stop. That
So Greg, on the elevator, is that something, is Kone happy with what's the life expectancy of the elevator that we're working on?
That's a
spending money?
different company that we have on that elevator. It's Otis.
Okay, it's Otis.
And
But what's their take on that elevator? Is it in good shape still?
they thought it was in real good shape, yeah.
Okay, good.
And they do a regular maintenance routine on
Yeah.
it, so, yep. They were surprised that I called it in and said it was not. I guess it had been happening for a while, but they reported to Rick and Rick never told anybody, so
Okay,
once I found out about it, and it was happening quite frequently, I'm like, okay, we gotta shut it down, because I'm not gonna take the chance of somebody getting hurt. The cylinder was lifted out of the pit, everything worked good there, sand was sucked out. They're putting everything back in today. They put the outside PVC lining, went down this morning, then they put the inner shaft support for the cylinder in, and they are now working on piping up the hydraulics to the unit from the pump. Hopefully they'll have that all piped up and ready to go midweek, I'm hoping. The AC units are going through what we have the preventive maintenance on. They're going through the spring checkups right now. So Art Week's been doing that, and I think they're coming back again Thursday. I think that is all I have.
okay, thank you. Greg, just a few things. Greg's been dealing with Ed Stewart and working at nights on the elevator, and the elevator project's gone really well. I think we had one hiccup on the whole project, but everything's going real well, and you've done a great job making sure you're there late night, early morning, and working when we need to work to keep the judges happy. When that project's done, then we're going to come over here to the old courts and fix this one. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was going to contact the guy that's handling that. Last I heard from him, that all the parts weren't in yet, so they're not
Okay.
knowing if the transition from there to here is going to work or not.
Okay.
He's sick right now, so I didn't want to bother him while he was ill, so.
Well, very good. Nice work. Thank you very much. Facility improvement updates. We went through that with Greg. Work order review, there's none. Unfinished business. At this point, there is no unfinished business. We're still continually working on the elevator. Greg is keeping track of what we're spending to keep our air conditioning system working at the present moment, because right now we're spending money to keep the system up and operational until we can get a complete fix on this. But there is going to be some things that we have to maintain in order to keep the air conditioning system going. New business of the RFP for guaranteed energy savings contract. I'm going to let Wendy give us a little overview on that to see what the state of that is. Wendy?
Certainly. So to those of you that have been in the room for the meetings this morning, my apologies. This is going to sound a bit repetitive, but to give the other members that weren't here this morning just a high-level overview, I think that most of you are already aware that there is an alternative process that we can go through, alternative to the typical competitive bid process, RFP process, and that's called the Guaranteed Energy Savings Contract. I think the actual statute is called the Local Government Energy Savings Contract. But just to give you an overview of where we're at in the process. So we've educated ourselves over the last 6 months about what we've been working on. We're moving forward to, we put out an RFP to competitively select a qualified provider That RFP deadline has come and went. We ended up with 2 different providers that submitted responses back to us. One of those was Allied Facility Partners. The other one was Centrica. So last week, a handful of individuals from the board actually heard presentations from those 2 providers or responders, and we're still in the process right now of compiling the information from those 2 items and determining what a recommendation will be in terms of that selected provider. Once that decision is made by the full board to select a provider, then we move into phase 2, and that's known as the negotiated procurement phase. So what we're going to do at that point is then, based on our qualified providers' recommendations, we'll begin approaching and discussing the specific projects that we think we want to do, the specific projects that we think we can afford, and then we enter into a negotiated procurement process and a guaranteed energy savings contract. That's all in the next phase. The first thing we have to do is select that qualified provider. We're not ready to make any recommendations here today, but I can tell you that that will be on your full board meeting agenda to vote on. So either later this week at executive or at the full board meeting, there'll be a recommendation and a vote to select that qualified provider and then move into the next phase. Tom, unless there's any questions about that topic, I do have a couple other things that I reported to the other committees I can share at this time, if
Sure,
that
go
makes
ahead.
sense.
Yes, please.
All right. So again, most of you were already in the meeting room this morning, so I won't belabor a lot of these topics, but speaking specifically to Chris, you were one of the ones who wasn't here this morning. There's several, what I'm going to call non-typical items moving forward to the board agenda this month. There's a rental housing support program surcharge that was mandated by the state of Illinois. Health Department, the last time they updated codes and fees was back in 2010, and they are presented this morning on some updates they need to make. As you can imagine, since 2010, not only have the state laws changed, technology has changed that they needed to address with some of the things that they issue. And then, of course, the fee structure over the years has changed. They gave a report this morning, but that'll be moving forward on your full board agenda next Thursday. Abandoned Property Focus Group, just a quick update on that. 2500 West 4th Street went out for sealed bids. We opened those bids last Friday. We have a highest bid of $5,006. So at your board meeting this month, you will be formalizing the approval to sell that property to that highest bidder. It's going to be in the form of a quitclaim deed, not a warranty deed, but I need the board's approval to move forward with the next steps on that. Amboy dispatch agreement. Amboy dispatch agreement is something Tom Kitson's actually been working on over the last couple of months, along with myself, Clay Wayland, Shelley. State's Attorney's Office has been involved with reviewing the agreement. I'm happy to report we do have an agreement tonight at the Amboy City Council meeting. They will be voting on the agreement, and it will be on your agenda for next Thursday night to approve that agreement. Methodology has changed and is now consistent with what we do with the city of Dixon in that we look at their call volume on a pro-rated basis. And so the proportionate amount of call volume that Amboy has, we compare that to our overall costs, and they essentially pay the same percentage of our costs based on their call volume. That's very similar to what we've done with the city of Dixon. But that also will be on your agenda. Besides the guaranteed energy savings, which I've already shared with you kind of where we're at with that, one other quick update, and that is, unless Tom, you'd like to update us on the process of the facilities director is moving forward. We interviewed 9 individuals. We have second interviews tomorrow morning with 2 of those 9 individuals. And so in the near future, we should have a decision regarding that. With that said, I'll throw it out to any questions or comments from all of you.
Anybody? Okay, executive session.
Tom.
What?
Chairman,
Yes,
I do have one thing to go over,
okay.
if I could. The tourism focus group appointed by the chairman, sorry. That's why I'm here, man, is for this.
Blame it on me, Tom.
Has met, and the reason we're doing this is, as you know, the city of Dixon has decided to no longer share with us in the revenue from hotel motel tax to all go to Lee County Tourism. So basically, it was split. Each group got about $88,650. Since it'll be based on the hotels and motels in the county, not in the city, we will reduce to 27% of that, or about 49,000 annually, which with Lincoln Way Inn and Franklin Grove planning to close later this year, that'll drop another 7,000 to 8,000, roughly $40,000 we'll have left. So the group, in effort to analyze, develop, and present recommendations to the board for a sustainable tourism program, which promotes economic community development, we've met with three groups. We met with Discover Dixon. We met with Lee County Tourism as it is now, and to look at what they could do to scale down. And we've met with Blackhawk Waterways that we already spent some money with. And it is the recommendation of the committee, after multiple meetings and analyzing this and doing the pros and cons lists and so forth, it's a recommendation of the committee that we go with Discover Dixon for a 2-year contract at $45,000 a year annually. With that, we will have quarterly reports to the board on tourism activities. We also will have a seat on the board. And that should transition around November 30th. So you'll see that on the agenda to vote on next week on Thursday, as well as a revision of Lee County Tourism Ordinance to reflect these changes. Any questions?
Any questions?
Okay.
Okay, anybody else have anything? Kane? No? Okay, executive session, is there any requests for an executive session? No? I'll take a motion to adjourn. Dean? Jack? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Dude, I would have had it if.
Have a good one, guys.